Alright everybody, welcome. This is a new series I'm going to start on my channel. It's Civilization Revolution, obviously. We're going to do Deity level with Aztecs. The Aztecs are actually one of my favorite civilization. I actually haven't played Deity in probably 2 years, I would say at least. So this was kind of weird to jump back into, but as you guys can probably already tell from the title, we already got that dub on technology, so it worked out pretty well. I got a lot of things, kind of, a lot of easy breaks as I went through this, so I'll kind of point those out as we go too, but just so you guys know, I am recording the audio on this after doing the video. Kind of a little bit of an oversight in my part looking back. I kind of wish I would have just done the audio as I did it. I feel like it would have felt a little more seamless. But that's okay. In the future, I think I'll go ahead and just do the audio recording as I'm making the video. Try to get through the start here, guys, so we can get going. I'm just going to be quiet for a second, wait for this to finish.
My liege, our fate is in your hands. Will we be a warlike people, striking fear into the hearts?
I must have got busy doing something, messing around with something right here, because normally I don't let this go. I just, you know, skip through it like everybody else.
Or will our wise men and scientists chart a course that will bring us into a glorious future of astounding science and unimagined technology? What will the future hold for us? Will we be yet?
Alright, there we go. Now we're getting started. So I always start off looking around to see if I can move it all. I always make sure I have at least 2 resource squares, I have 2 food squares, and I have 2 production squares. The reason for that is just, that's kind of the way I figured out how to build my cities. Also, every time when I start a new game, my first 10 to 20 moves are pretty much completely scripted. So I'll talk about that more as we kind of go through this, but you guys will definitely see, and there's a reason for it, and I'll explain that too as we kind of get going here. I don't know what I was doing at the start of this run. Sorry there's so much dead time, guys. After I actually start playing, it's a solid playthrough all the way through, so there shouldn't be any more stops after that. Just so you guys know, I have actually already beaten Civilization Revolution like many times over. I've played this game since it came out. It's probably one of my like oldest and favorite games. I mean, obviously, if I'm still playing it today. That's kind of the reason why I wanted to make it my first series as well, just because I'm fairly comfortable with it. And I feel comfortable enough with my knowledge of the game to be able to like present it to you guys and not make it feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? I mean, nobody wants to watch somebody just running around with their head cut off. So every time I start, I actually always set up with 2 production squares. And if you notice there, I actually just built my warriors as well. Because I'm the Aztecs, I start out with that 25 cash. So the reason I do this is that I always want to get my first city built by 2200 BC. And a big part of me doing that is going around getting warrior villages or like those other types of villages to get the resources, because you need $100 and then you can get your first set of settlers for free. So that's always what I bank on. So you guys will kind of see that like play out here in the first bit of this. Also, super lucky that that was right there. Again, as a deity, like playing on the deity level, this run went way better than I would have expected. This is probably one of the easiest runs I've ever had on the deity level. I mean, I obviously got helped out by being the Aztecs as well. I think that they're probably one of the easiest civilizations to work with, along with the Zulu. And I think the Germans are actually pretty easy to work with as well. Right here, the reason I went up that extra spot, I knew it ended on that island, but I wanted to see if I could discover something like I did right there. Right here, I'm just setting things up, and now I'm swapping both of these to food. Okay, now it's at 3500 BC. I got 3 sets of warriors out right now. Normally, if I were playing any other civilization, I would only have 2 sets of warriors out right now. But you want to get those out first so they can go out and start discovering things and defeating barbarian villages and stuff like that. You really want to get that cash early. The earlier you get that second city built, the better, okay? So again, that's the same thing I'm doing here. I know that there's nothing else up there. I've already pretty much figured out that I'm on an island by myself. there were a lot of things in this run that went a lot better than I would have expected. Like, even for me being on an island, that's normally not a good scenario because then you have to get a ship built in order to, you know what I mean, go over and start building on like the mainland, because you normally don't have enough resources on your island to build a full civilization. And I actually get pretty lucky in that regard later here as well, as you guys will see coming up, but yeah, right now we're just trying to get set up. Got another discovery right there. I'm at 55 gold. Defeat these guys. Right here I'm looking for either a ship or gold, preferably gold. Boom, got gold. Stoked about that. Right here I kind of pause and I'm wondering, well, I'm actually thinking about how I kind of screwed myself by having those guys moving. But then I also realized I would, even if I were able to have sold those warriors there, I still would have been 5 short, so I still wouldn't have hit my 100. Right here, I'm switching to 2 science and 1 food. If you'll see, my growth population is at 15 on that. The next turn, it'll be at 14. So I'll swap to 2 food resources and 1 science resource. So then I'll move to that. I'll have my city grow again after 7 turns. Right there, just got my settlers. Stoked about that. Here I'm making the transition. See it at the top go from 14 to 7. And like I said, my first like 10 to 20 moves are always pretty much scripted. I mean, it kind of depends how things play out with, you know, resources and how much money I'm able to acquire and when I'm able to get that second settler built. But for my main city, those first moves are pretty much always scripted. This kind of goes against my normal build too. I would normally always go with 2 resources of each type on my second city again. The reason I didn't worry about it so much on this one was because I saw that wonder right across from me, and I know it's probably going to give me the Great Pyramid, so then I'll be able to select the technology to get myself Republic. And that's basically what you see me gunning for right now. So I actually just spent money, built that ship. Now I'm trying to figure out what's the fastest way over there. It's 2 turns either way. That's kind of what I'm figuring out right now. Yeah, 2 turns either way. Still kind of messing around with it. I also don't always push all the way in because I've kind of gotten caught before where I wanted to actually take a different direction and I didn't figure that out until that next turn started. So I have kind of messed myself up with that before. But this was a huge boost. Being able to get that Great Pyramid. It's going to ask me now. I'm going to say yes. It kind of sucks to lose out on that production in the beginning, but I mean, being able to build settlers for, I mean, only 1 population resource, that's huge, especially early game. So right here I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to build something, if I want him to work on science, or if I want this city just to start going straight to trying to get its population up. I ended up building a set of settlers right there. Fortunately 45 was enough, I only needed 40. I'm going to send him down, pick up my settlers, and then I'm actually going to move my militia over and have them start exploring this island.
Get her with me.
Just gonna check things out. The reason I built this, I built those settlers so soon too was because I knew I was on an island, and I knew that if I wanted to build my city, I was gonna have to start doing it on another continent. So by getting these settlers built, I could go ahead and get them moved over, get them on this continent, and then I could start populating this continent, as you guys will kind of see I move with. This is a little bit of a risk here with that mountain right next to me, but I felt pretty confident that I was far enough away from other civs that I could have, you know, built that city the way I did. The biggest thing with Deity is that the other civs are very aggressive. Like, they're gonna start gunning for you as soon as they see you. So one of my early strategies also is I want to explore as much as I possibly can without meeting other civs. because it's those other civs that are going to start attacking me. And then that's going to lessen my ability to be able to put that toward culture or building myself up in other ways to like actually be able to win end game. And that's obviously what it's all about. So I always start off with the same technologies as well. I always go writing first, and then I always go pottery. And you guys will kind of see the reason why. Right here again, I'm moving that over, and I'm going to switch it back to science. Always science early. You don't get enough money early game for it to be worth anything. Right now I'm going to production, and I'm going to switch this to library. Normally I would try to save up $80 so I could just buy that library right off the bat. Obviously, needing to get onto another continent kind of strapped my funds. And you guys will see that again right here, actually. Coming up that maybe I don't always... I usually try to keep to myself as much as possible on these game modes. Because like I said before, if you go meet other civs, all they're going to do is start attacking you. And then you're not going to be able to build up your libraries and stuff like that. And then somebody else is just going to be able to win end game. I basically think about it like it's 4v1 in this mode, right? Like the other 4 civilizations are going to probably be pretty much coming after me exclusively. So I try to avoid them as much as I can. We're just kind of hanging out. Again, here you're going to see me kind of switch things around. Right? I just moved that over because I was at 18 turns total. So by switching that over to 3, it now makes it 6 turns for that city to grow. Instead of, it would have been, obviously, as you saw before, 9 turns. The reason I do that right there is because I want to see more of the island, and then also, I'm not sure if that actually slows down their population growth or not, but if it does, I'm definitely trying to do that. Right here, also, I was kind of trying to figure out where I was going to go with my boat next after I dropped these guys off. You can see a little bit of blue down at the bottom of my screen, and that's the French. So I'm going to completely avoid even sending my boat down in that direction at all, because I don't want to meet them. Okay, finally got enough money right there to build my first library. Get that built as soon as you can. So when I'm building my cities too, I usually try to make my first and second city are always science. And then my third city, I'm going to try to set up in a heavy production area, the way I've set up this third city right here. And then I want to make that my gold city. So as you guys will tell, like I'll research technologies in a specific way to get things first. I mean, that's obviously one of the perks of the game, right? And I have kind of developed a strategy to get the key freebies with those technologies. And like my strategy in this game is usually pretty static no matter which civilization I use. There'll be like some slight variations just depending on like what happens in game. But for the most part, like I really play every civ the same way. Minus probably the Arabs, just because you can be really aggressive with them at the start, and if I can go take over another capital early, I will. When I upload one of those playthroughs, I'll show you guys that, obviously, and we can kind of talk about that a little bit more. But I think as far as like my favorite civilizations, the Zulu and Aztecs are probably my two favorite, and I mean, maybe that's because they're the easiest. I don't know if that's a little bit of a cop-out or not. I think the Aztecs are definitely the easiest civ to use, them or the Romans. Specifically because early game is so important, and both of those civilizations allow you to get yourself set up very early. The extra 25 gold, which I always use to build warriors right off the bat, is huge because I can go out and start exploring. And there's been a lot of times too that I've actually been able to take over another civ's capital uncontested. That's usually easier to do on like the lower game modes. Deity, you know, obviously things change a little bit, but that's definitely a pretty good strategy to use. But I do suggest using my early game strategy in them first like 10 moves. Try to get those 2 warriors out first, and then swap it back over, and make sure you're getting your food growth. And get that population built up. So right there, I actually stopped them from moving automatically because I wanted, I wasn't sure if the Indians might have some warriors out or something like that. Right there, I was kind of wondering if maybe I pick up my militia and put them on my boat and start exploring. I left them there because I wanted to keep my spot. And I don't have enough money right now to be able to build another set of warriors. So I need somebody there to defend them because I know the... I know that Indians are right over there. So right here actually is what I'm going to do as well. You'll see me kind of switch things around, and I'm going to get going on building my second... why did I do that? Oh, I already built them. Duh. Okay. Right. So I left them there to protect my citizens. I don't really need that production right now, but I do need the science, so I want to get science going. Again, I'm going to let them just kick it, because I want to see if anybody comes over. Got them. Chilling again. So if you guys will notice too, I'm actually working on irrigation right now. Irrigation gives 1 population boost to every single one of your cities if you're the first to discover it. If you're the Egyptians, it's actually a learned technology that you get through completing one of the eras, but you can actually get the perk for it if you research it before you get it that way. So I always do that because that population boost to your cities is so important. Okay, so that's what I did. I brought them over basically just to protect the city. I kind of messed up right there. I actually wanted, I wanted to switch this over and get it going on 2 population, but I kind of messed myself up. And I don't know if I fix it or not. So again, because they have those 2 guys there, I don't want to move. Because if they wipe out one, they still can attack a second time to take the city. But if I only left one of them there, they have the advantage in both of those battles. I'm going to research construction now because I want to get the workshop built over in my other city over here on the right, because that's going to be my gold city. As you can tell, I've set that up around all the production. This one I set up just because it met all my criteria and it was a way for me to block off then being able to move any further to the right. Alright, so now we're going to go exploring again. I feel pretty confident having 2 there. They're kind of just kicking it also, so I want to get out and start exploring again. Finally got our city up to level 4, and now we're going to go library. Need to get that second city's library built early as well. Very important. Okay, I did that because my construction was at 20, and if I would have taken that off, it would have dropped it down to like 18 or 16. And I want to get that in 4 turns, obviously. I want to get that technology as early as I can, because I need that workshop. This is just me exploring. I'm just trying to see what else is going on around the map, making sure that I'm building enough things to protect myself over here on this island, or over there by the Indians, and then on my lone island, obviously, I'm just building myself up. So in your capital, always get that library built as early as you can, as long as you have your free settlers, right? So get your 100, get your free settlers, and then get that library built in your capital. After you get the library built in your capital, you should be around a level 4 on that city. So what you can do then is put 1 on population, 2 on production, 1 on science, and then get going on that hanging gardens, because you're going to really want that population boost in your capital as well. We're We're going barracks because I know they're going to start coming at me soon and I need to start building up defense. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to have 2 food squares on this one. I opted to just go with the 1 because it is 3, because it's running right next to that river. And then also I know I need to get that barracks built because those guys are going to come at me soon. Alright, and this is me just kind of looking around again. I'm just kind of exploring ahead, seeing which way I want to move. Do I want to come back down toward myself? Do I want to move up and over? I opted to go this way because even though I see this patch of island over here on the right where I was just exploring, I can't jump across that right now with the ships I have. And I could maybe go up around, connect to the top, and then swing over and get it, but there's no guarantee that that'll even be connected. So right here I opted to start moving down and exploring closer to my island just to see if I could find any more wanderers. This is kind of a frustrating part of the game too. I mean, I know that like it's a 2-to-1 and by all intents and purposes I should win, but you don't always win. And it kind of seems like you're good with 3 sets of warriors. As soon as you put a 4th set of warriors out, there's a high probability one of them is going to die. And I don't know like if that's like built into the mechanics of the game somehow or what. But if you have only 2 sets of warriors out exploring, like they're... as long as they're fighting barbarian villages and stuff like that, and just doing like the early game stuff, they should be totally fine. They should never lose. I mean, obviously, unless you take a bad fight where you're in a forest, you know, crossing a river and they're up a hill. I mean, you know, be smart about it, obviously, but... So as you can tell right now, I'm just kind of checking. I'm seeing what everything's building at. I want to see where my cities are at in growth. See, these guys just sent over some archers, which means that they're doing exactly what I thought they would, and they're going to start trying to push this city. I'm going to go currency next because I want to get a market built. If I can get a market built in my gold city for free, that's always the goal. It works sometimes. I wish it would let you decide where it built the structure instead of it just putting it somewhere for you, but, you know. For a game that's like 15 years old, not bad. Right here, I don't really feel like I need any of that stuff, so I'm like, alright, I'm just going to start building up some defenses here, because I've been pushed way too damn many times, left a city horribly under-defended, and gotten it take over and basically lost a game just because... And it was like some like exploring ship too, like they didn't even have to send a lot at me, so that can be really frustrating. Another strategy too, if you're new to kind of playing on the harder difficulties, don't be afraid to save early and often and try different strategies. Because like that's honestly how I've kind of gotten my game to where it is that I've played this A, so much, and then B, in my playthroughs, I'll save it, and I'll even do like my early game like a few times and just see what's out there and the different ways that I can like play out those scenarios. It's just good practice. Or maybe I just have too much time on my hands. That could totally be it too. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't. David's kind of a bummer, particularly because of where they built him. Like, I mean, I'm on an island down there, there's nobody's really threatening me. If he was built up on this continent, it would have been a lot more useful. I actually end up just sending him up to that other city and letting him wait until I can move him up to this continent here. I'm debating on if I can send him somewhere or not. The Indians just declared war on me, so I'm not really sure what to do. I decided to shut it down because I haven't explored the top left yet, and I wanted to see if I could get to a civ over there before I did. I was debating on putting him there. Chose not to, particularly just because they're isolated, and I don't think that that city is really being threatened a whole lot. I'm bringing my boat back to my island because I want to build another set of settlers before I get too far out. I don't want to get, like, you know, 5 turns away from where I am, and then be like, oh damn, I can't. You know, now I gotta go 5 turns back just to build my settlers, and then go 5 turns back, so now I'm back 15 turns, right? Like, it's easier just to build them now, bring them with you, and then drop them off when you can. So right here, I decided to go for monarchy. The reason is that you get a great person if you're the first person to discover it. I don't know what the other civs are, I only know what 2 of them are at this point in the game, but I'm just gonna roll the dice that the English aren't in here. If they are, you obviously can't get that perk because the English start the game with monarchy. And any technology that's obviously known to another civilization can't be discovered first by you. This is me kind of deciding where I'm going to put my upgraded units that they are veterans. And then just kind of moving guys around. I want to see where I'm at with money, and then I also want to see how fast I'm going to be able to take over these technologies. It may have been a bit of a mistake early game to not put a set of warriors where those Indians just moved right here by this city in the top left square. I actually thought about it too, and I decided against it for whatever reason. But that city was built mainly just to run with science anyway, and with that 4 population growth right above it, it actually ended up working really well. Furthermore, I had that other city close enough to me that I could send defensive units, and I felt comfortable enough to do that. This is really not a typical deity run. I know I've said that already, but like I got so lucky. Like I don't think I've ever had an easier run on deity, ever. I mean, it was weird, like really weird. Okay, yeah. Again here, guys, just kind of setting things up, making sure I can properly defend myself. I want to get a temple built here, because it will give me science. And then also, great people help a lot. Which is another reason that I build that Hanging Gardens early too, is because you get a culture boost for every wanderer that you build. This is me probing, as you can see right there in the bottom right. I can see the Spanish right there, I can see that yellow. So I kind of kick over here, stay away from their stuff, because I don't want them to know I'm there. And I actually don't meet them until like late game. Like I don't think I meet them until sometime in the 1800s. I did really well at avoiding the other squads in this one. We're going to stick with Republic because I might want to build another city. We're going to go with writing. I was hoping to maybe get twofold here. I was actually, 1, hoping to be able to get a spy for completing it, and then 2, I was hoping it would reduce the technology or the discovery rate of one of my other technologies. At 600 AD, this is usually about the time you want to try to get democracy. Because, not necessarily for the upgraded units, but because you need that upgrade to like your science and gold production. Like that becomes very, very, very important. I just built that horseman there because the other guys got wiped out and I got a little upset about it, so I'm going to go up there and, you know, bring the pain, if you will. Again, they're kind of trying to post up on me. I'm not super worried about it because I have a few units there, and even if they do attack, I feel pretty confident that we can defend at least for a turn. This is really, I think, probably the most crucial part of this playthrough, is what happens coming up. So this was a pretty big deal. I needed to win this early. I mean, the Aztecs are kind of broken because all their units heal after battle, right? So that alone kind of was able to establish that city as them not being able to like move past it right now. Like you don't have to build 4 units if they heal automatically. So it's like it really... It reduces the amount of resources I need to dedicate to defense, right? And that allows me to like build my city up, or my civilization up, in all other ways, like way easier. So if you're going to go for a deity completion, I would really recommend probably starting with the Aztecs, because this is probably the easiest civilization to use. Oh wait, okay, okay. So the part I was talking about, I think, is actually coming up right here. I think I make a misstep with some warriors.
Oh, nam nam.
And I believe they win a fight they shouldn't win. Maybe a little bit of karma from this barbarian. I actually normally don't even build like horsemen as units, because they're too expensive. I'll usually just build a catapult because it does twice as much damage. It only has one unit movement, but on Deity, I usually don't even if I'm going for a domination victory, I build up my civilization, get to the modern era, get modern units, and then I just attack everybody and take over that way. Like, I don't go for a victory until I'm, like, pretty much set up. I don't, like, sit here and battle with a squad the entire time. I'm just going to set up defense, basically build a wall, let them keep running units into it, because they're going to keep committing resources to this. This is the one that I was really nervous about and almost lost. And if I would have lost this battle, it kind of would have changed things, because they would have been able to take over that wheat square, and they weren't. Not only that, is that we actually got upgraded from that as well. The third thing that happened right there is that was their last unit within 1 square radius of me. So you're going to see what I do coming up. I'm pretty sure I end up moving a defensive unit into those trees, like I probably should have done earlier. Right here, I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go engineering. Engineering gives you +1 production in each one of your cities if you're the first to complete it. That's also part of my package. I do that every time I play. The technologies that I pick, like, if you'll see, when I open the menu, I pretty much, like, go directly to, like, a specific technology. And that's literally just because I figured out that, like, that's the easiest way to climb. So, like, totally, if you guys are looking for strategies to, like, follow or try, like, totally do that, like, give it a shot. I can't tell you what they are, like, right off the top of my head. It does kind of vary a little bit depending on how things go. But for the most part, I discover things very much in the same way. So right here I made a mistake. I should have actually moved over to my settlers up there, and even though they've moved twice because there's a second unit, I can actually activate them. I was thinking about that, but then I got kind of distracted figuring out how I was going to defend this city and set up my defenses over there. Also what I was going to do with these defensive units, because I just moved those settlers up. And I know that they got that panhandle right there, and they can come up around and attack where I'm going to build that next city. So I'm kind of contemplating all of that when I'm making the decisions of moving those units right there. Again, just looking around, just seeing what I got units where, kind of where things are building, what I've got going on, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm far enough away and they're actually attacking the other city, I don't think I necessarily need the archers there. They already do have some units, so it's not like somebody can just come over and take over the city. So I should have done that last turn, basically. Because we're further into the game, I'm not so much worried either about setting up these cities in a specific way. I mean, it's already at a level 4. Really kind of moving resources, resource growth and stuff like that. It's really important early game. It kind of becomes a lot less important later game, just because the populations of the cities increase and it'll automatically start taking the most important resources. The AI is usually pretty good in that regard, but I feel like it does have some like automatic processes probably left in it, you know, just to allow you to make decisions. I mean, that's why we play the game, to actually play the game. I know, that was awesome insight. So you guys know you can use that in your personal lives if you want. So right here I'm debating temple or library. With the Aztecs again, you get +3 science in every city that has a temple built. So I was debating on building a temple for 2 reasons. 1, obviously to get that science. 2, because the city's right here, and I wanted to see if I could start taking over some of their resource squares just with culture. You can really put a dampen on another civ's growth just by getting in their resource squares the way that they try to get into mine. I could leave somebody up in that plain square next to the Indian city that they keep attacking me from. The reason I don't is because my warriors aren't really a defensive unit. And I want to prevent them from being able to come directly at me. So this way they have to go around. And if I were to block off both those squares, they would just start sending units up to that other city, and I don't feel confident enough to be able to defend that. So I kind of want to keep their attention here. back. This is where I'm going to split my defensive units. Because these guys are closer to the city, I'm moving the pikemen there, obviously, because they're the higher defensive unit, right? I don't do that because it's a losing battle for me. Chances of me losing to that are very high. I think about moving back here. I also decide against it. But I have a plan. And that's also why kind of like setting things up 5 turns in advance and just letting them go can be a problem sometimes. Because if they were the first to move, they would have just moved to their spot. And it would have like completely screwed me on this turn. So just kind of be wary with that as well. Like, also, right there, you can see the Germans are just above me. I see that. I don't want to mess with that. I'm coming back down. I was looking for another place to build civilization. I was hoping I could have built it on that island. I didn't like it. So I'm going to end up going and building on a smaller island and just getting resources. But I could have built that city basically like 10 to 20 turns sooner and ended up kind of screwing myself a little bit. So the reason I move my warriors over to this unit, to this square with the pikemen, is because they don't have their wall built up yet, right? Like they're not fully, I forget what they call it, fortified. So I want to leave that second unit there just in case they do fall, that at least they won't be able to take over that wheat square, because that wheat square is really important to that city. Right here, I think navigation. And then I believe I end up going back in because of how many technologies I've discovered. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I have steam power, and I do. So because I already saw the Spanish, they start the game with navigation, okay? So I wouldn't have got that free boat. So the way for me to be able to get a free ship is just to go straight to steam power. And I usually try to go straight to steam power anyway, if I can. Also, sorry some of the sound effects are kind of loud in this. I didn't realize it. Hopefully it won't be so loud when it uploads. Again, you know, this is my first video too, so I'm kind of trying to figure things out still. But I'll get it refined. If it is too loud, let me know, guys. Right here I see them starting to work up that panhandle. So I want to come and shut this area off. I built this city basically just as a strategic point to give them one more thing to think about. This is also a big reason why having a city with a lot of production is important, because you can build your defensive units there and then set up the rest of the stuff, and then also use those cities to then defend your gold city, right? Like they have to go through these other cities before they're even going to get to my gold city right here. Yeah, so that's okay. So I get my market built. And right here, trade fair. Super important to get that built. I have 8 production in that city. That's pretty good for, you know, 1000 AD on Deity. I think about doing this, and the reason I don't is because I don't feel like I can defend that city if I take it over. And secondly, me taking over a city is great, but me getting that culture in another one of my cities, and then being able to get more great people that way and faster, I think is more important. Situationally, though, I will sometimes use that person to take over another city. It just depends how I feel about my ability to defend that city if I take it. So I got 3 great people there. I know that's really stupid, but that's the other reason I wanted to get steam power, is so I can get that cruiser built, and then I can finally get these people moved up to that bigger city up there. I could have built a boat. I know that it's not like a ton of gold, but it is a few turns that would have set me back. And on this level at Deity, like just a couple turns can make all the difference between a win and a loss. Like it really is finicky. This run is so not typical of a regular Deity run. I still can't believe how easy of a run this was. Now, I kind of made it easy for myself too, right, by strategy. Don't engage with other civilizations unless you have to. And then also, like I said, you know what I mean? Like, kind of set up cities to blockade and be the defense to the rest of your civilization. That's easy said. That's easily said on this run, just because, I mean, obviously my capital's on an island. But normally that screws you too, so... like, normally you're not able to get enough money through barbarian villages and discoveries on your home island to get your first set of settlers for free. And if you can't do that, that's really going to set you behind, or at least it does me and my strategy, because that's kind of what it's all predicated off of. Right now we're just kind of moving around. I'm exploring. I'm moving those guys down to that island. I've set up defenses here now, as you can see. They can't even get to my other cities. Just going to throw all these guys in here.
Get her with it.
As long as you have somebody else in the city, or like a way of moving over the great people, you can actually get them to discover right now. I'm thinking about sending him over, and then I realize I actually want somebody on board. I also need to defend my city. So I'm going to switch that over from the trade fair, build a couple pikemen real quick, rush those units, put my warrior on the boat, so now I have somebody to discover things with when I come across stuff. Medic, March here, both pretty worthless. As far as like trying to build a defensive city, so... But I did get loyalty here, and that was huge luck, so stoked on that one. And now I'm going to send him over. I realize also that I can get there while still being able to go up and kind of discover some of that area, just to see what's going on there. Be smart about discovering, be smart about using your space and the way you travel from point A to point B. I built Colossus. Normally I wouldn't, but I was kind of getting worried that somebody was going to discover the technology that would make Colossus... that basically like wipes Colossus out. It makes Colossus stop working. You'll still get the cultural boost from Colossus after somebody discovers engineering. So that's kind of the reason I built it right there too, was because I actually wanted the culture as much as I wanted the technology boost. Go pick this up. Nothing great on these discovery technologies, but it will open up like better technologies that you need to discover. As you guys can tell right there, I actually wasn't the first to discover university, so somebody else was really gunning for a technology victory. And those are kind of things you can use too to gauge where you're at. Like, you know, I mean, if I'm hitting like irrigation and construction and monarchy, and I'm not getting my like my rewards for being the first to discover it, like that to me signals that I've probably lost that game already. And you can lose a game in the first 15 minutes. Like, there are literally some scenarios that you just can't win. Like, in my experience, I've literally played in scenarios that I couldn't win. Now, I'm not saying I thought of everything, but... I mean, I kind of thought of everything. I hope I'm not being annoying too, just kind of blabbing. I don't really know what to say sometimes. Right here I'm kind of just like, yeah, I don't really need to move any of that stuff. That's just going to be a technology city anyway. I had the whale resource right next to it. And that's actually why I end up discovering navigation here in a minute. See, right now, I already feel completely set up to defend myself against the enemies. It was right around this point that I realized, like, this is probably going to be a pretty easy victory. Like, unless somebody starts pushing me from a different side, or they get some type of upgraded units that can knock these guys out, they're in a lot of trouble. But this is what I mean, too, of you don't want to discover the other civilizations. Because if I would have met the Spanish and the Germans for sure seem to be really aggressive in this game. I don't know if it's just me or not, but pretty much anytime you have the Germans in your game, you can count on they're going to start attacking you probably relatively soon. The English do as well. So right here is how the Indians kind of screwed themselves, is that they went full on attack mode, and they wanted to try to sell out to knock me out or to take over my city. And because I had my defenses built up, I was able to just build my technology the whole time, and they just kept putting all their resources into trying to take me out. So my civilization is growing the entire time that they're using all their resources and staying the exact same, staying stagnant. I didn't realize the combat volume was so loud. Sorry about that. So, sorry about the combat volume, guys. I will try to adjust that in the future, maybe. I'll adjust that in the settings, maybe just on the Xbox or whatever. Karl Marx, another great thinker. You know, I didn't get, like, the great people you really want. Like, great thinkers are nice if you get a couple of them. But after you, like, get, like, you know, your third, fourth, fifth ones, it's like you don't really need that cultural boost anymore. And giving yourself that cultural boost is really just going to probably up the chances that the next great person you get is going to be somebody dedicated to culture. I think the AI is built like that in order to like help you attain the victory you want. Like it can tell that you're like gunning maybe for like a technology victory or a, you know, and it kind of tries to give you the great people to facilitate that, it seems like. But the game doesn't always necessarily understand your intent as a player. But if the game understood your intent as a player, I guess there would be no point in playing the damn game in the first place, so I guess we could just void that one altogether, can't we? I have played a little bit of like Civilization 6. I thought about doing a series on that as well. I'm still debating on it. Part of the reason is just that I don't necessarily feel... Here's my thing. Civilization Revolution is nice because you can get a game done in somewhere between like an hour or 2 hours. But a game like Civilization 6, like that takes like hours to get a completion. And honestly, like I just don't want to play for that long. Like part of the reason I fell in love with Civilization Revolution was that I could get a gratifying game-playing experience in a couple hours. So I just decided to settle in there because I already have one settled in my capital and then also my production city. The reason I put a culture person in my production city is because I'm always going to build a world trade fair there. And that obviously gives me a boost to my culture. Also, if I was able to get a humanitarian, like somebody to help my city grow in population, I would always put my first one in my gold city as well. Because I only ever have one gold city starting off. Like, as you guys can tell right now, all my other cities are dedicated to science. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities dedicated to science and only one city dedicated to gold. But if you build it the right way, it works. And my gold city I actually got really hooked up on because not only does it have a fair amount of production around it, but it also has those ink squares next to it, which obviously give me the boosts to the science or gold resources. Building a barracks because I see these guys rolling up on me right now, and even though I have defensive units set up there, I don't want these guys to linger. Because a lot of times they'll like send in like units and then just have them kind of plant themselves in your area to take up like resources and not let you able to use important resources. It seems to me like these guys were just scouts though, because after they get taken care of, they just never come back. That was me trying to figure out like what units I could build. I would have built knight units if I could have got 2 built right there and then built the 3rd one the next turn. Because I wasn't able to do that, I decided to go with the catapult because I want to get 3 units built as soon as possible. Also, I don't really need the extra movement speed of the knight because they're going to be just a defensive unit anyway. So right now I've kind of seen enough of the world that I don't feel like I need to really go explore more. I wanted to try to find the last wanderer that was around. I thought it said there were 4. Oh, I guess I did discover 4. I forgot about that. Okay, got them all. forgot about the School of Confucius. So right there I go engineer, and I know that they're not in the city, and it only gives them a boost if they're in the city. But my strategy was basically I'm just going to give them that designation, and get another defensive unit built. I can just swap them. Easy enough. And where I'm going with that cruiser is I'm actually going to move it right down here next to this city, and let it help these guys defend. This was a huge bummer. I actually thought about not attacking them right away too, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just wait for my next catapult to get built and then take them out. That proved to be a mistake. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and defend. Okay, so right here I'm just going to go in. I think I actually... yeah, that's what I wanted. Did I build the trade fair right there? No, I couldn't. Could I have? I wonder if I just messed up right there. I might have, I'm not sure. So again, just setting up defense. Right now I'm going courthouse. I don't really care about that civ right now. Like, it's really just become kind of a defensive city at this point. So, courthouse was just something I could put on it that, like, it just wouldn't prompt me to do anything with that city for quite some time. And this is where the culture starts to come in handy, right? So they took it over. I'm actually going to build this guy. This works out for me because now they're actually going to direct all their attention back to that city. You'll see I start spending money here, so I just bought the trade fair in my gold city. Mega card is completed. I'm going to go ahead and get going on a university. I'm going to move down here, get going on a university. Leave those units there. We're not really concerned because they're not worth it. If they want to be a part of this great country, they can defend them themselves. Otherwise, just didn't earn it. It's okay. Keep it right there. They literally just wasted resources taking over their own city. Yeah, they got nothing. Pretty soon they're going to ask for peace, and then you'll see that they actually switch their government from fundamentalism to developmentalism. Whatever the first one is. And that's a signal, literally, that that civilization has gone basically nowhere. I built a temple here because I have that great person. Otherwise, I would have just built a bank. See, now they want peace because I'm going to start taking over their city, and they also know that they can't compete with my units. Sorry if I sound weird when I'm talking right now. I kind of have something in my eye. Alright, I'm good. I'm good. So we're going to go with printing press because I actually want to unlock mass media and get that boost for all my cities, get a population boost in all your cities. Specifically, it increases each one of your city's population by 1, so that 9 would then become a 10. Much in the same way that the irrigation, discovering irrigation first does. Okay. Also, I'm not sure if the audio on this is going to be kind of a little bit off-timed with like what I'm doing. If it is, I apologize again. This is my first recording, and I am recording the audio afterwards, so I hope it's good. They're gonna threaten me again. Not worried about it. I've already taken over their stuff, and now, right now, I know I can just move over and take this city. I move them back just so it has 2 units, 2 full units, and I'm gonna move them up and get them ready just to defend. Their units should have come far enough by now that my warriors really shouldn't be able to like hurt them. So now they're just kind of something to make sure cities don't get taken over. Defend. Defend again. Moving on. Okay. And this is kind of the point where I realize like I'm really close to endgame, so I'm just kind of trying to get through the last bit of this and just get this completion done. It's all about getting as much technology as possible right now. The city is already built with gold. I could swap it over to science, but I think it would only produce like 16. It's just not worth it. And that is why I left those militia in that city, because otherwise they would have just taken my city. Okay, got a courthouse built there. Now we're going to go university, sticking in line with the fact that we want to discover things as quickly as possible now. At this point in time, I could have got pretty much any completion I wanted. I was really close to a culture victory. I end up getting enough money for a economic victory really soon. But I do feel that those are the 2 easiest completions to get. Like, cultural specifically is easy to get. And I can show you guys that strategy as I go. It's basically the same strategy I follow the whole time. Technology and domination can be a little bit more difficult, because if you have other civs that are competing with you on the technological level, it can make domination really difficult. So right here, I actually was kind of debating on if I was going to go with a domination victory or if I wanted to go with a technology victory. I ended up going with a technology victory because it's a little less fun, I guess. I was set up for it, and I was like, well, I just kind of want to get that one out of the way. Whereas with a domination victory, especially with a civilization like the Aztecs that have that automatic heal for all of their units, it makes domination pretty easy. So I thought about going network. I'm really debating right here because I want that technology. I went with combustion because now I'm just trying to get spaceflight. So I'm trying to get as many things that fall into that like category as I possibly can to open up that technology and get it discovered so I can get my win. I just sent that great person over there because it didn't have one. It was a city, and I was just like, to heck it with it. Like, it's better to me to do that than it is take the 400 gold at that point, unless you absolutely need the 400 gold. See, right here, I don't really know what to do with this guy. And I decided to send this boat down to pick him up. And this is kind of what I was talking about before, too. It's like I have enough great people having to do with culture that this guy doesn't really do anything for me now. Right? So it's like I kind of just got a great person that's like more or less void. Not like it necessarily matters, because, I mean, I'm also set up enough, like I said, to get a win any way I want it. Like, I could have built the military-industrial complex, and then just started cranking out troops right here, and I could have got a, domination victory fairly early. So, I mean, that was an option here too, but And that's usually kind of how it seems to run, I think. Like, if you have the option for a technology victory, you probably have the option for a domination victory as well, and vice versa. I mean, particularly because if you do start going domination, you start taking over civs, your science and production resources, your science resource production, excuse me, is going to go up so high that it's going to help you out a lot.
Get her, Wibbick.
So it really just depends on how aggressive you want to play. For me, it's a day-to-day thing. I mean, sometimes I like a little bit more of an aggressive play style. Other days I like to kind of play like I did today and just kind of sit back and let things come to me and be strategic. Just have fun with it.
Whoa, flabber. Oh,
So just again, guys, I do want to reiterate that this is the first video in this series, okay? I'm going to be going through all 16 civilizations. We're going to be getting completions on all 16, economic, domination, technology, cultural. No problem. Well, it'll probably be a little bit of a problem here and there, but, you know. That's the fun. That's the fun. Yeah, so look forward to those to be coming out too. I'll probably start putting videos out here pretty consistently also. So there I finally got a humanitarian, and now I'm going to send him down to my gold city. My gold city is, I mean, it's kind of less important to do it now because I feel like I'm already pretty much set up. I mean, I'm basically just kind of toying with everybody at this point, like just trying to get the technologies I need to open up spaceflight. I'm debating sending those horsemen down to defend this city. Oh, I guess I end up sending them down. Oh, and I actually made a mistake right here, too. I should have left them one space back, particularly because I knew that these guys would come in and attack me right here. I got so lucky that they won that fight. So lucky they won that fight. I mean, I think I still would have got the win even if they would have lost, but it definitely would have made things a little bit more difficult because I would have had to start building offensive units in that city. I mean, again, having over 20 grand, I don't think it really would have been any type of problem. Like, I have enough money at this point to be able to kind of buy what I want in this game. Which is why I guess I select courthouse here, because I don't feel threatened. Yeah, okay. So at this point, I'm just looking in-game. I'm kind of just setting things up with longer completion times because I'm not really worried about them. I built that because I wanted to maximize my technology benefits. Obviously to get a victory, so... Alright, humanitarian's back.
Whoa, get her, Wibbick.
So the Indians just swapped back to fundamentalism. They also built Leonardo's workshop. They're really not in a good place technology-wise. You can tell that the best units they have are still Legion and catapults. Literally just swatting away the flags. So the reason I don't attack again is because I don't want to leave my horsemen exposed out there and let them get attacked. Like I did just a few turns ago when I brought them down 2 turns. Again, not worried about it, just trying to get as much science production as I can. I decided to build a barracks there just so I can build a ship if I need to help protect that city. As you can tell, obviously, this has become my new defense city. kind of putting all my pieces here, getting this set up to defend. It works as a choke point. Okay. Think about funneling your enemies very similar to the way you would a choke point in like a FPS. Or if you've seen like 300, right? Into the hot gates, you know? If you can narrow the avenue that your enemy can come at you, then it obviously makes it a lot easier to defend.
Hip hua. Follow.
Trazam. Ook Bakensraben. Ook Bakensraben.
Alright, kind of a lot going on right there. This is just kind of the annoying part about the game too, is when they're sitting here trying to like fight you the whole time, and you're like, just like, I'm ready to win, you know? Just stay out of my way. Quit bothering me. Yeah, the last few minutes is always tough, because they know that you're going for a victory.
Rain Winham.
Yeah, aside from that, man, we're just oh my god, something just started over. So that was really cool. Alright, and I'm back up here to the 107 mark. Alright, a little bit of an editing issue there, but we're good. Oddly, right back on time. Right here, I'm just kind of picking a, I'm debating on picking something high and then just letting it roll forward, so when I do discover space flight, I can just swap it over to habitation and just build it instantly. I opted to go for Samurai's Castle right there, just because I knew people were going to start attacking me, and I do only have like mid-level units. I don't have riflemen or mini modern infantry. I think I only have the one modern infantry that it gives me. So that was kind of a strategic move as well, just to kind of play a little bit of extra defense down the stretch.
Ooh, a shot. Keep.
Hey, dogega.
Bonum. Hooey.
Okay. Getting close. Just wanted to build a library.
Whoa, get her whip it. Oh,
Just went ahead and used that guy right there. Again, he's not really doing anything for me. Like, I don't necessarily need him for anything. I have plenty of cash. Totally set up for the victory right now. I'm just playing endgame. I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can, just to send my ships up and get them built. Well, get them built, then send them up, I guess. Spanish try to move on in me right here, or try to move up on me right here. They're gonna find out that was a mistake. Follow him. so weird to me that the civs in this game have their own like language. It is so weird to me. Borderline scary, I would say. Again, we're gonna kind of start shit, so not worried about it. Like, nobody else in the game can really touch us right now. Like, we have literally already won. Literally? One of my favorite things. Just so anybody who doesn't know, that was a little bit of a Chris Traeger right there. Parks and Rec, no big deal. Come for the gameplay, stay for the references. That's right, that's right. Oh man, yeah. So right here I'm going to start kind of building up some ships as defense. Particularly because the Spanish send out quite a bit at me right there, so I want to kind of knock them off their pedestal. And this is just playing Control 2 with the other civilizations, right? Like, I'm not necessarily building these ships to be aggressive in any type of way. I don't want to carry units. Excuse me. I just want to defend what I have. Sorry, I kind of had a hiccup right there. I'm also not sure if the audio on this is going to be like really good and stuff, so I hope it's good. If it's not, let me know, and I'll work on kind of compressing it and moving it down and stuff like that. I think my microphone has a built-in compressor, but I am kind of using some lower-level editing software as far as the audio and video is concerned. Free software, if you will. It's good stuff, but, you know, it's not Premiere, so. Okay, just won another battle there, and we're just going to kind of keep it going. It's kind of just messing with my audio a little bit right there, just to kind of see what looks good and what doesn't. So you guys let me know. I'm going to move it back up. That's kind of full blast right there, alright? So if that's too much, let me know in the comments. I baseline and just kind of talk a lot anyway, so it's like getting me to shut up, especially when you put a microphone in my face, is damn near impossible. It's like an on switch. Really bizarre. So right here again, literally just getting everything set up. As you can tell, I have this city just on science, because I have enough money that I can build all my spacecraft. So everything now is just going to be science. Science, science, science. They want to make peace because they just got their asses kicked. Okay, move this up to Manhattan Project. The reason I did that was because I just want to get it building production, and then when I have the spacecraft available, I can just convert it over and get a spacecraft built right away. None of these technologies matter now. I've got spaceflight, and now I'm just going for the victory. Okay, here we go. Manhattan. Or habitation, I'm sorry. Propulsion. We go propulsion again. And hit this one with fuel. We're going to go life support. Then I'm going to go propulsion and then fuel again. I've kind of tinkered with this. This seems to be like one of the faster setups. You can actually have, I think it's like 3 propulsion to only the 1 fuel, and I think it gets there in the same amount of time. So I don't think you would necessarily have to build 2 fuel. So 1 habitation, 1 life support, 3 propulsion, and 1 fuel, and that should get you there in the quickest time. Yeah, so this is just kind of where it gets kind of boring, having to see all these loading screens basically as you send all this stuff up. It's just kind of the way it goes, so. Just gonna keep sending them all up. And right there, you can see I was kind of like looking. I'll hesitate a little bit right here. I'm looking at that 11 years. I'm like, should I just launch it? Should I just launch it? I'm like, I already built that other one. Might as well just go ahead and send it up there too. But that was my debate right there. That's what took me so long. Okay, last one, send it out. And now when I come back in, I'm gonna set all my cities to science, just so they're not actually like building any type of production. I just don't want it to keep prompting me to like, oh, what do you want to build next? When the game in my mind is basically already completed.
Hooey.
Okay, so right there, just went through all my cities, set them all to science. This guy, I'm just moving up there just to kind of mess around a little bit. Through that, we're just going to go next again. Again, just trying to get through these last few turns. Go ahead and hit next, and this might be it right here. Yep. And there we go, guys. Got that technology victory on Deity with the Aztecs. Again, thank you all for watching. If you like the video, leave a like. If you don't like it, leave a dislike. If you guys got any comments, you got any questions, you just want to talk about anything, let me know. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.